We are going to kick off the day with a presentation by Arctic Securities on setting the stage on shipping markets, commodity markets, and thank you very much for joining our event. The floor is yours. So Hans Gunnar, please come and take over.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be in Hamburg, and I'm glad to be able to join my colleagues in this city. I flew in yesterday evening, and I could see that the city was darker than I expected. So, and I talked to the taxi driver, and he could tell me that there was a lot of electricity saving in the city. So lights were lower than normal, which was quite amazing to see. I need a little help. I am not a shipping analyst, just for the record. I'm a macro energy analyst working with the Arctic. I've been doing analysis on energy markets in Europe for over 30 years. Primarily power, but also gas and subsequently coal. So the aim for my presentation today is to give some perspective to the energy market, the impacts on the energy markets from this year's events, and perhaps point to some trends that could be important to bring further. To start with the first slide here, you can see the big cake. That's an illustration of the global primary energy market, counting some 165,000 terawatt hours a year worth of energy. That is what we consume, the global community is consuming every year. And as you can see, the oil take the largest share still. This is 2021 numbers from the BP stats. Oil is the biggest share. Coal is the second, and gas is the third. And then you can see the renewable at 7%. Still, it is growing the fastest, but it is still quite small. But what I'm aiming at here is you can see the orange box where it says the Russian loss. That is what we have lost during the course of this year of gas supplies from Russia. And if you take that in a global perspective, it's less than 1%. Less than 1% of the global energy consumption is lost in the form of cuts in gas supplies from Russia. So then you would think less than 1%, we should have expected the market to absorb this disruption. That is what we have been used to. We have seen disruptions bigger than this in the past, and still the global community regions have absorbed these disruptions without kind of experiencing existential threats like we have seen this year. So that is one perspective to take with us. Very, very small disruptions can really do a lot of harm. And why is that? To take the numbers, what we actually have lost from Russia is 1,100 terawatt hours per year, annualized supply of energy, 1,100 terawatt hours. That compares, for instance, to the total German gas consumption at approximately 1,000 terawatt hours per year before the crisis. However, when you drill, and besides, the 1,100 terawatt hours lost from Russia is equal to 2 million barrels of oil per day. So if the world had an infrastructure to meet the challenge of a disrupted gas supply, we would only see 2 million barrels oil to fix it. But obviously that has not been the case. And maybe the reason for that, when we drill down the numbers, is we can see that the loss of gas from Russia as a percentage of the EU energy consumption is 6% or almost 7%. And even worse, it is 27% of the EU gas demand. So then we start understanding why this has been so devastating. So the result we know, Europe has experienced a price shock. And one very important thing, we haven't seen any lack of energy during the course of this crisis. The energy balances physically, here and now, every day since the crisis began, there has been no such thing as energy shortage. So the whole crisis has been an anticipated threat. It has been an anticipation of lack of security. So this has been a security issue, actually. The other thing is that the price shock that we saw coming in Europe, we actually exported that shock immediately to the global community, linked or by the mechanism of LNG. The LNG brings the whole world together in the energy, in an energy perspective. So the shock in Europe was exported directly to the world, which means that the whole world started fixing the problem. Europe was not alone trying to fix the problem of lack of energy or a perceived lack of energy. Asian communities, they started shifting from use of gas to use of other fuels. And in that sense, the LNG price has been extremely important, and the LNG market has been extremely important in making a local problem a global solution. The response that we saw in Europe has been very much consumption cuts. As I started saying that it was a dark city when I came here, there have been cuts in energy consumption widely, not only gas, but in electricity, in oil, in everything. We are saving energy. The other response to the... I was just looking at my time. I have a few minutes left. The other thing was the other response from the disruption and the cut in gas was the race for LNG. LNG had to be the single most rapid solution to meet the danger of the energy loss from Russia. But not so much spoken about, but probably the most important response taken as a result of the energy crisis was the fuel switching. Fuel switching to coal, to diesel, to heavy fuel oils, other heating oils, to LPG. We haven't so far in the crisis seen any energy shortage. There is plenty of energy out there, but you need to take the opportunity. You need the infrastructure to actually utilize that option. So what is the learning point of all this? This is not a popular thing to say in a world fighting to go green, but I would like to say it anyway. Oil is the ultimate security backstop of our energy systems, which means it's the ultimate backstop for our economies. Oil is accessible, it is storable, so make sure it is available and usable. I don't say that we should glorify or lean to oil when it comes to covering our energy needs, but we have to never forget that oil is the ultimate backstop. So make sure that the infrastructure around oil is functioning, unless we can go in much deeper problems than we have experienced this year. And this year has been existential threat as it is. The other thing I would say which is a learning point, when you look when we look into the future, there is no doubt that green energy, renewable energy, there will be a massive investment and a massive build-out of renewables. Because there is no other options. That's the only options to get energy independence long-term and to get energy security long-term. However, what we have learned probably from this year is that backup systems and ultimately oil is a prerequisite to reach the green energy transition. Without it, we can derail, and we have already seen that, the potential for derailing. Then I go to the next. Here is a beautiful chart in my mind. I'm a little number nerd. So what we see here is the gas price. That's the turquoise colored line with these extreme peaks. And the second line, the dark line, is diesel. Wholesale diesel. So this is the TTF, the Dutch, German gas price versus diesel price. And what is fascinating with this story is that in this chart you can read what the markets have been doing and have been thinking over the past few years. We're starting with the left side, where you have a very low price situation. Gas LNG market is expanding with the US and Australia coming big time from 2015 to 2020, leading to gas having to compete itself into the market. And to make space for itself, it went in competition with coal. So that's why I'm calling this the parity coal era. Abundance of energy, low prices. We all got very sleepy about this. We woke up every morning and the picture was the same: low prices for everything. And then we enter into the crisis scene, and look at it. It started long before the breakout of war. So, and after that, the oil is the new parity to the gas. Gas is shifting from being competitive to coal, meaning low price, shifting over to compete with oil. And that brings us to a high price level. And this is something we should think a little about, because it means something. It's a trend shift, and it's here to last, in my mind. This is a higher for longer pricing environment we are facing in the years to come. And the gas market will constantly fluctuate around the diesel price. So what is actually happening in the latest part of the crisis is that the whole world has shifted to diesel and other oil products to shift away from gas to save money. And that has, of course, lifted the price of diesel. So far, that has not lifted the price of crude oil, so that the spread has gone up. So in relative terms, diesel has become much more expensive than, for example, gasoline. So if we take a look at how the market sees this, we have the left side is the same picture as we saw. This is the gas price, the historical gas price. And then on the right side, we have the futures market in the gas, in the wholesale gas market, and the diesel price. So the curve on top is the gas price, and the slow curve is the diesel price. So what we see here is that from a market point of view, we have ended the era of coal parity, and we have entered the area of oil parity, higher for longer prices. That said, there is a massive premium paid to gas compared to diesel in the next couple of years. My experience is that when you have fundamental mechanisms like the switching mechanism is, you will see a faster return to normal. And normal in this sense means diesel parity, which is higher for longer. And look at it. It is very supportive to renewable energy. It is very supportive for upstream harvesting of anything, including gas and oil. Higher for longer means that we are in a modus of changing. We are in a modus of rebuilding our systems. Yeah, I think it's so. Take an analogy to the shipping industry. To build in security of energy into a ship, well, what do? You go multi-fuel. You go dual fuel instead of single fuel. And that is probably what the whole energy market, the global energy market, is about in the near future. And to bring a little hope to us, I just saw this picture and I was struck by it, and people are extremely innovative. And this is an example of a shift away from gas into oil. Not very obvious, but if you think about it, it actually goes from gas-powered light, electric light, to oil-based candle lights. So with that, I thank you for listening.
Hans Gunnar, I have to say this was really an amazing presentation. So different, frankly, from everything we have been hearing, and so right, spot on. And I think energy security is clearly one of the topics, if not the topic of the day.